Good morning. It's April Fool's Day, but I assure you that I'm not going to prank you in any way today. What I say to you is you can take quite seriously, or at least you can take most of it seriously. I'm wearing my Vorga t-shirt. Vorga, German black and death metal band with a very Swedish sound. They released their new album, Beyond the Palest Star, this week on Transcending Obscurity Records, and it really is quite brilliant. But you're not here to listen to me talking about metal. You're here to listen to me talking to you about accents and how to speak. So this morning we're going to focus on the vocal posture which you need to have to get a Posh accent, to speak in heightened received pronunciation or traditional received pronunciation. What we might call a Plummy voice, a Plummy accent. So I wonder if you've ever watched King Charles speaking on television. I wonder if you've ever watched the King's speech on Christmas Day. You'll notice that King Charles doesn't really move his mouth very much. His jaw is very still. And a lot of posh people, they almost talk like ventriloquists, hardly moving their mouths, which are, that's sort of the way they speak. You might wonder if perhaps that's because they're English and they've got a stiff upper lip. They're not like these foreigners who get a bit excited and flap their mouths wide open. No, they keep their mouths very still. When we do move our mouths with this accent, what we do is we slightly pass our lips and we make movements up and down with the lips. Up and down, vertically. Okay? So the front of our mouth is very narrow, very little movement with the jaw, but the back of the mouth, you're making lots of space. Lots of space. It's almost like you're using your mouth as a kind of funnel. Narrow at the front, but lots of space at the back. Traditionally, we talk about there being a plum in your mouth. We call it a plummy accent because you're kind of talking as though you've got a plum in your mouth. That's how we talk. A plum. The other day, my colleague, who thinks I'm a little bit snooty in the way I talk, she said to me, "Take that plum out of your mouth." So, if you're posh, you've got a plum in your mouth. Okay, and because we've got this plum in our mouth, it means that a lot of the time our tongue is quite low in the mouth. We don't raise our tongue up unless we're making specific vocal movements to pronounce certain words. Generally, the tongue, we keep it quite low. Okay? So, to summarize, we make very little movement with the front of the mouth, very little jaw movement. When we move our mouth, we purse our lips and we make vertical movements up and down, okay? And then we leave lots of space in the back of our mouth for the imaginary plum. So you talk like you've got a plum in your mouth. And then you have your tongue in your mouth very low, okay, because you're making space for the plum, right? So practice speaking in that way, and I think you'll start to find that it makes a difference and your voice becomes an awful lot posher. Do you know the classic elocution technique, how now, brown cow? So if we say that casually, without making these kind of movements, we just say, how now, brown cow, which sounds a little bit flat. But if we say it using this technique, with making the funnel out of our mouths, it sounds like, how now, brown cow. So you can hear that that's a good deal richer, there's a much more of a richness to saying, how now, brown cow, than if you just say it casually, okay? So practice using these techniques, making that vocal funnel, pursing your lips, moving your lips up and down, making lots of space for your imaginary plum, okay? A delicious plum, very nice, very tasty. And maybe practice reading from a book. So if you've got a book in English, you read a piece of text to yourself, listen to how your voice sounds, practice those movements, and you'll start to find that your accent becomes a good deal posher. Okay? Thank you very much for listening to me this morning.